how's it going? And thank you for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like button, kindly share, and please subscribe to this channel. The upcoming election is something that everybody have their attention on. But you have a lot of people that have their attention on the upcoming election for different reasons, different purposes. Tonight we are talking about what effect will the upcoming election have on immigrants. I don't want to speak on that here alone. I have my guests with us who frequently come on the show with me. Joe. So Joe, I want you to greet the please tell them a little bit about yourself if they have not seen you on the show.
No, most people should have. Well, as the down below my name, I'm the Italian Stallion, the gangster bankster. So retired, making pension, making money, being a gangster bankster, and a couple other things. So which we'll get into, but and I travel. Of course, I officially got property in Ghana now, so we'll be starting up a business over there. Hopefully next year, if we can get all the delays and everything to happen. So that's where we're at.
Awesome. Um, Mercedes, thank you for tuning in. The homie 1804, thank you guys for tuning in. Et je voulais saluer tout le monde. Moi, tout, moi, demandé nous pour nous pas oublier, pour nous partager pendant nous entrer dans live. Là. Greetings to everyone. Wherever you are tuning in from, don't forget to please share the live with others. And I do encourage you to interact. On I don't want us to be too politically correct because I know a lot of people are looking to be politically correct. And with the upcoming election, one thing you see is that whichever party someone stands with, they are vocal about it, passionately vocal about it. But today, I want us to more focus on the effect that the upcoming election will have on immigrants. I know the last time you were here on the show, we talked about some of the stuff that's happening with Haitian immigrants up in Ohio. I mean, have you gotten any updates? Have anything changed there with Haitians in Ohio?
No, it's pretty much status quo. Like I said, we're after the election. Actually, there hasn't been much talk about it at all. If you've seen, any of the news or anything, the outlets, that was just a thing that got started. What, a month ago. So,
Mm,
they were there before. They were there. They've been there a couple of years, from my understanding. So, it isn't like that they popped up this summer and then all of a sudden, all the politics came into play. So that after the election's over, this is you won't even hear any conversation about it. It'll be the end of it.
wow. So all of that and everything just go back to normal. Nobody, you don't hear of anyone targeting immigrants in the state of Ohio.
Well, you're always going to have people that are going to be in disagreement and have their opinions and and so forth. But I mean, it's not going to be at the level that you've seen all the spots, like on the ads and everything else. Like I said, a lot of that's going to die out. Nobody's going anywhere. Everything's going to continue the way it is for the most part. So, hey, it is what it is.
Mm. Right now, you have a lot of immigrants that's in the United States under the humanitarian program. Do you think that either party really wants to solve the immigration problem that's going on right now in the United States?
No, no. The only way that's going to get resolved is one party has to control everything: the Senate, the House, and the presidency. Then you'll see some movement, on reform. But of course, the other side, the minority, is going to cry foul, whatever's put in place. But as long as we have a divided government, of different, it's not the same party. It all three branches have to be together. If that isn't going to happen, we're not going to see any resolution. So any kind of compromise is irrelevant, only because everybody wants an issue to campaign on, to talk about. So the parties won't ever be able to compromise because they want an issue. They want to keep the problem in existence, so they have a campaign to go on and collect money and stay in power.
Do you think that there is an unholy alliance to keep the situation the way that it is, as far as the immigration situation that's going on in the U.S. right now?
Well, I mean, the only unholy alliance that I see is, and I talked about this, and I think we talked offline about it, and I've talked out on Philly Dom's channel a couple times, and I was right what I said. If we can go back to one of your videos, I think we did a live maybe a couple months ago. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I said it then, and it's just as relevant now as it was then. There's an unholy alliance between, in this case, right now, the Democratic Party, the small businesses, and not even small businesses, the businesses that have a lot of low skilled, low paying jobs. Um, that's just like Tyson Foods, hotel industry, light manufacturing. These jobs, maybe pay $10, $15 an hour. And I feel that there's an unholy alliance there. And the reason I say that is because when they come to this country, we already know that from Springfield. That was the most current example. We got a guy there that owns a temporary service. All the light manufacturing in that area goes through him, and he's bringing immigrants, and specifically Haitians in this case, bringing them down from Florida, from what I read, on buses, bringing them up to Springfield, putting them in basically abandoned houses that I don't know how they don't even meet code, and making them pay a bunch of money in rent, and then say, well, hey, you can get that money to pay the rent to me by signing up through my temp service, which I already knew, and then we're going to put you into one of these jobs here, these manufacturing facilities here in Springfield. So, and from that end of it, what's going to end up happening is, if they're already here and somehow they get citizenship, they're able to vote. If they're able to vote, I mean, common sense would tell me, who are they going to vote for? What party are they going to vote for? So, I mean, just out of loyalty, at least one time around, they're going to vote for the party that assisted them to get here to start with, out of allegiance. From that end of it, um, that's where the connection is in the business community. These businesses, like these light manufacturings, a lot of these people are not really, they're privately supporting the Democrats. They're not going to support the Republicans because it's not in their best interest. But even the bigger businesses, the Hyatt hotels, these big corporations, they may utter to people that they're going to support Trump, but look where their money's going. Privately, probably some of these CEOs and executives are sending their money to the Democratic Party or PAC groups because they benefit by the way things are right now. Trump gets back in, well, he may cut that 2 year program, at least what's been in place right now. He cuts that 2 year program, these guys aren't going to be able to work because they won't be here legally at that point. And if they're able to work, that means there's vacancies that are going to go unfilled unless they pay more money, to attract, U.S. citizens or ones that have their or green cards or whatever it is, because you can have a green card and work or work permit. So it's going to drive their cost up.
Do you think that, I have two questions, but I want to ask, can can Trump legally um, deport as people think that he say he is? Is that something that you foresee being able to happen legally, even if these immigrants did not commit a crime? Or are we assuming that? Is that what Trump is saying he wants to do?
Well, he has a lot of rhetoric. If you watch his speeches and everything, he talks generalities, but in reality, he's going to have to. If they're here waiting, pending a case, I don't think he's going to be able to deport them. My opinion. If they're waiting on a case, I think if the ones are here illegally that actually never checked in or not, just came over without even going through the process at all to claim asylum or anything. Those are the ones that I think he'll be able to go after. But again, if you're going to go and deport millions of people, let's just say whatever, I don't know how many people are here. They say 20 million, now 24 million. Let's just say, just for argument purposes, that 10 million of those actually crossed over without any, setting up any kind of cases, for the courts or anything. They're not identified at all, period. The amount of resources that it would take to round them up and deport them would be enormous. And where's that money coming from? At the end, you know, where's the money coming from to even do that? And then there's still going to be due process. So you have that, between just the law enforcement, between the courts and everything else, it's not going to happen. It's just simply not going to happen.
To go back to immigrants, do you think that from what you foresee outside looking in as an American, as I want to give an example because for years we have watched things happen here in Haiti. And I have my own opinion about both sides. Do you really think that the Democrats have immigrants' best interests at heart as many immigrants think that they do?
I don't think they have any. I don't think either party really has immigrants' best interests at heart because they all have their edge of why they're creating their actions. That they're doing are it's not the best interest of anybody really at the end, is other than themselves. I mean, again, the example I gave to you earlier is about the unholy alliance with the business community. So, from that end of it, yes, there's people that are given opportunity. There may be some of those that could be U.S. citizens, they get their green cards, maybe they marry a U.S. citizen, whatever the case may be. And, from them, yeah, the individuals may, be able to stay and work their way up, which actually would add better to the economy because, eventually they might be in a position, where positions that are in need, like healthcare, nurses, doctors, they could go to school. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example here right now. I know a person right now in Ghana that because there's such a demand for nurses, she's actually secured a work permit. I don't know if it's HB1 visa or whatever it may be to come
Mhm,
here. All she
mhm,
had to do was, I think the way it is that they recognize South Africa is having credentials. If you have their credentials from South Africa, you can come without taking a test here in the States. I might be wrong on that, but she took an exam, through their credentialing in South Africa and passed the boards to become a registered nurse. And that was part of the deal. Hey, if you become a nurse, we'll bring you here to the States under a work permit. So, those individuals, like as her, we're going to help us here. We have an aging population. Yeah, but that's not to say that there's other immigrants here that came in that are working in those light manufacturing places that'll work their way out of that into a position where they're actually, have a better contribution or paying taxes and everything else. The low wage jobs, I mean, because of the tax code, they're not really, they're contributing to the employer and they're keeping the products and services cheap. But if you get, at some point you get a why'd that light go off? Wait a minute, give me 1 sec here. I'm in the car. Okay, I'm gonna see this motor running. Okay, um, I lost my train of thought. But those individuals here, they might be qualifying for some programs, so they're actually taking more. in programs assistance than they are paying taxes, because you have different income levels and different tax rates. So if you're making 30,000 a year, how much in taxes are you paying at the end? What's your tax rate? Are you getting more in assistance, through a food stamp card or healthcare services? I think Walmart a couple years back, they were being criticized because they would keep the wages low so people qualify for those different programs for health insurance, so they didn't have to provide it. So there's hidden costs that are out there for this as well. It's just how you look at it, and if you keep your emotions out of it and look at it from a physical standpoint, some of the individuals you would say yes, and some you would say no, as far as the ones to be here that are actually contributing positively to the economy and the overall function of the United States.
As an American, who would you say to be allowed into the United States?
Well,
One who I assume will vote, and I'm not asking you to share who you will vote for because you don't have to do that. But who do you think qualified to get a chance to at, at a better life in the United States?
okay. Well, we gotta look at the overall country in the best interest with keeping the emotions out. Yeah, I guess if I was running the show, well, first of all, I would have the immigration policy I'd put in place. If I was running the show and I had the influence of the Congress, that being the Senate and the House, I would have more. I would triple the amount of federal judges, because that the backlog of cases that are out there are enormous, and that's part of the problem. We got tens of thousands, hundred millions of people that are on backlog to hear asylum cases. That'd be number one. But number two, my priority would be is to get individuals like under the HB1 program, to start filling some vacancies that Americans won't do, or that they're critical need, and that would be like healthcare, like the girl coming from Ghana. We have a big need for healthcare workers. I don't care if it's working as a nursing assistant, a registered nurse, a doctor. How many rural areas they don't even have doctors? The people have to travel. You have a lot of elderly people in remote areas that have to travel to see a doctor. Well, if you have HB1 and program in place, and you have somebody from a foreign country that's coming in here to work that can pass the test, maybe through like again like she did through South Africa, where they recognize her credentials, that doctor could work at a community hospital or something, or a nonprofit that provides services to those people. So that would be my first one. And there might be engineers. We have to look at the big picture. What positions are hard to fill here in the United States? Once we identify those, then we need to target a HB1 program to those individuals to bring more in, because I don't think we're bringing enough in personally. That would be my first target. And then we can start looking at different circumstances and everything else, and not so much look at the politics of it, because we got I mean, there's certain places around the world where they're just never going to have it together. I mean, they're not there to try to fix their own country. Yeah, I can't think of anything right offhand. But they're not going to, they rather run and get out of there than try to fix their own country, because we can't take in everybody everywhere around the world. We just don't have the resources to do it. So there's a balance in there. There's really a balance of how we need to go about it.
Do you think that people who are facing dire situations, example, people who are being displaced by gang related activity in Haiti, should be able to seek asylum? Because you do have a lot of Haitian immigrants, Nicaraguans, immigrants from similar situations.
Um, yes and no. I think in the short run, yes, we need to assist. In the long run, we need to, the United States. What's once problem in one country eventually becomes a problem to another country. So even though that United States has nothing to do with Haiti, at least officially, it's a separate sovereign nation, if you want to call it that. We have to look at the big picture and say, okay, well, we can let individuals in, but is that going to solve the problem there? We need to get to the root of it, and that would be, in this case, the politics. We gotta stick our noses in there and hold. If the people won't do it, we got to hold those officials accountable that have been stealing money. And we got Haitians living in America here that stole money from the country. Why aren't we deporting him to put him on trial back in Haiti? I mean, we need to put, with the IAPOL, whatever it is, international warrants. There's ones up there's Haitians lived up in Canada and France, that have stole money and created a lot of problems. Why aren't we putting our resources to hold them accountable and then send them back to Haiti, go on trial, whatever happens, happens. I mean, that would be a start because you have to earn the trust of the people, and that's the problem that I see specifically in Haiti. Nobody trusts anybody, and there's no stability. And when there's no stability and nobody trusts anybody, there's not going to be any investment. Nobody wants to come in and invest. So like again, it's just we're just a band-aid right now. Uh, grading asylum, but it's not going to be a solution to the overall problem. And part of it's the United States. They have to, in this case, with it, like right now, where they're supposed to be sending police down there and funding. From my understanding, is the UN isn't getting the funding to send additional police from Kenya. I mean, the only thing I read recently was I think El Salvador, the president there volunteered to send some army units in there into Haiti, to assist. But again, I see it as a political solution. It's not a military or police solution.
Do you think that the party that's tougher on immigration, that it can cost them the winning seat? Do you think that a lot of Americans understand that many immigrants are facing tough situations and agree that if someone commits a crime, yes, they should be deported? However, a lot of Americans is aware of what's going on around the world. Do you think that the party that is tougher on immigration rules could, could lose? Being the fact that we you agree that even businesses, they have an unholy what do you say, alliance,
Unholy alliance.
alliance, right? Unholy alliance with the Democratic Party, because being able to bring in more immigrants grants them the opportunity to have more people working, that they have to, they pay less.
Right. I mean, like I said, there's pros and cons for each one. The problem is with Trump, because he just plays on people's fears and hate, and because of that, there's going to be bad decisions that he would make anyways if he were to get in there. And we already seen that movie before, when there was migrants coming in and they were separating families. Yeah, we seen how that played out. Some people forgot about it. I remember it. And like I said, there's a thing called due process for everything, but there's ways to handle that to limit it. What we need to do is minimize the amount of negativity. In this case, if like I said, if I was running the show, I would, and I was able to do, let's just say that the Congress agreed with everything I was saying. I would personally get more judges in there to speed up the docket, okay, for these asylum cases, because there's some people that should be granted asylum instead of just being in limbo. That'd be number one. Number two, people that want asylum, I would make sure that the embassies in some of these countries are staffed and have a process where it's being done within the country itself. I, maybe not so much Haiti, but maybe Nicaragua. It could be Cuba. There could be other countries. I mean, we're just talking about the few here. There's other countries around the world we have immigrants coming in. But file your case, and have it done within your own country instead of coming up through the border saying, "Hello, here I am." Uh, because what ends up happening is when they come across, and the other problem is, and this is Biden's fault in this case, if he's going to let them in, that's fine. Issue out work permits. Don't have them sitting out on the street struggling and everything. Issue out work permits for whoever until their cases are heard. And that's the other problem. You let them in and you're only issuing out so many work permits. Well, what are they supposed to do? They're going to go out and beg on the streets. They're going to commit crime. So there's another problem with that in itself. But the key is minimizing the effect. And again, if they come up through Mexico, maybe give Mexico some funding and say the individuals need to stay across the border until their cases are heard. But it'd be timely because now I got triple the judges in there, maybe quadruple, whatever it needs to take to get it done in a timely manner. So whatever weight they have would be minimized. So but the thing is, they're not going to agree upon doing that because it's no, either each party wants to have an edge to their benefit, so they're not going to agree to that. What I just said.
Welcome everybody that's tuned in, and guys, don't forget to please share the live. If you are new here, please hit the like button. I notice we have 20 likes. Please hit the like button. Mercedes, say hello. The homie, good evening. Marie, good evening, guys, and don't forget to show your support to the channel. Reconcile, how's it going? Cheap labor is the reason why. I believe he'll be able to deport undocumented individuals, which I think all presidents should be able to. Sporting goods, if in legal process, I don't think he can do anything. People need due process. Thank you so much, Sporting Goods. Don't forget, guys, to kindly like, share, and subscribe as you come in. We have laws to protect people, legal or illegal. This is something I have heard many people mention. Tony Montana mentioned women too emotional. A woman cannot be a president. This is my opinion. How do you feel about a woman being the president? How do you feel about her president as a woman?
Um, I don't know. I got mixed views on it. I think she's not stupid. Obviously, people might say that and have their own reasons. I think she's a chameleon in the respects to try to be politically correct, which I would never do because I'm not a politically correct person to start with. Um, I think with her, I think she chose the wrong vice president. My personal opinion, she should have chose the out of the ones that came up on her list. I personally would have, if I was running, I would have chose the governor of Pennsylvania. He's pretty much, he's level headed. Um, he's not going to be politically correct as the others. So I think the vice president she chose is going to tell her what she wants to hear, just like Trump. He wants JD Vance, which to me he's worthless. Because he's going to tell him what he wants to hear, and that doesn't serve anybody at the end of the day.
Hmm. I hear a lot about women rights being taken away. I have my own point of view about some of the things that I hear. Some things people are more open about, and I think personally I am more conservative about. As a man, do you think that women are losing their rights? I'm under the impression that women, we have a lot more rights than we used to have. But during this election, you hear a lot about rights, rights. Where is that stemming from? Is it because candidate she is a woman, or is there woman rights being taken away?
Well, if you're talking about the abortion issue, yeah, obviously, there's some issues there because the states that I know, my state here in Ohio, we have a referendum thing process here in the state of Ohio, and this is run by Republicans. All the offices right now are run by Republicans. However, when they get too crazy and start passing laws that are too extreme, we have a ballot issue. And there's a couple of different ballot issues that came through in the last couple of years where it got shoved back at them. And one of them was the abortion. Basically, the abortion law went back to what it was, previously after the legislature governor signed off on a more conservative process of dealing with abortion. So that's out. So we have that ballot issue. We did one with the minimum wage a couple years back. Um, we did one with the voting. I won't go into that. That was another one. That one got shoved back at them. So there, in this particular state, there's a recourse that people have. There was one years ago dealing with workers' compensation. We have a state-run system for workers' compensation here in Ohio. So if you get injured, the state's going to hear state agency is going to hear the case, and the agency that actually pays and regulates the employers for workers' compensation is the state-run system. They were trying to privatize it about it's almost 20 years now, and when they did that, it went to people were pissed, and it went to a ballot issue, and that got shoved back at them. And of course, the Republicans were running it then. So there's a check here, but in other states, I think Texas is one of them. I'm hearing horror stories out of Texas, where some women, because of the life, they're having health issues. It isn't just by their choice. They're having some health issues, and they're not having access, the doctors for the healthcare needs. So, I mean that needs to be dealt with. So from that end of it, I'd say yes. But from the other end of it, now this is where Trump is getting the men's support, and a lot of he's a false prophet. I always said he's a cult leader. So I'm going to talk bad about both parties. Um, he's leading the men thinking, his masculinity or his imitation of masculinity is leading men to think that things are going to change, and men are going to, and women are going to have less rights, and men are going to, or let's put men are going to have more rights. And let's just say dealing with transgender stuff, dealing with, men are having a perception that maybe the courts will be changed and laws dealing with child support and how men are maybe domestic violence, where women, claim that they've been beat when they haven't. Some of those things are coming out. Trump is kind of leading men to think that he's going to change things to where it puts more of a balance effect dealing with men, which I don't think so. It's just talk. It's just all talk. It's just masculine man talk. That he's rough and tough and everything. But in the reality of it, to get any of those changes are not, in my opinion, not going to happen.
So, do you think that what is the difference, in your opinion, between someone who is a supporter of Trump and someone who is not a supporter of Trump? Why
Well,
do you think someone would support Trump?
well,
And
well,
one
yeah.
second, so guys, please share the live. Please share the live. Don't forget to like, share, and definitely subscribe to the channel as we get into the show. And we encourage you guys to please interact. Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends now on who you're talking to. And there's been some people that voted for Trump last time that are not voting for him this time. And I'll give you an example. There's people that have supported him back in 16 or 15. And
Mm-hmm.
basically he went to these poor areas, these poor Rust Belt states, like Ohio, West Virginia, some of these states where there are a lot of job loss over the years. And Trump basically, he's a good salesman. I mean, give him credit where it's due. He's a good salesman. He's in real estate in New York, so he's able to sell. He's one of those type of guys that could sell a refrigerator to an Eskimo in Alaska. So from that standpoint, he's basically at that time he was telling those people that he's going to bring all these jobs back to the United States. It was almost like he was coming off as a prophet. Seek me, and you like me, you have nothing to lose. And that's what he told a lot of people. The Democrats haven't done anything for you over the years. These jobs have gone overseas. I'm the prophet. I'm the one, seek me, and I'll bring all these jobs back from China. And see, that's where that rhetoric comes in at. Well, what happened? We didn't see any real jobs come back to the United States. And I can testify where I grew up at, but I didn't see any real changes there. There wasn't any employers moving in. Yeah, they closed their operations in China. They came back to the United States. But see, those people, they're desperate. So they're willing to grab onto anything, which, if I believed it, I probably would have voted for him myself at that time. But I know that was a lie. I know that wasn't going to happen. So from that standpoint, different people have different motives. This time around, it's, I think what it is it's probably one because we have a woman running, but two, I think what's more important is that there was stuff done here, during COVID, and he's a fault too. All the money that was spent, the inflation, everything. Trump ran up actually he spent more money in deficit spending than the Democrats did. But obviously nobody will talk about that. But in reality, it is. He did the tax cuts that weren't paid for. The COVID started. He spent money there, but what happened was Biden got in, and they just did more spending. So I mean, there was the infrastructure projects which need to be done. I see in my city there's a lot of stuff being done because of federal funding, which is a positive. But regardless, you have to have the money there to spend to start with. And if you're deficit spending, that's going to create inflation. That's where we're at now. So I think people are just frustrated, but they think Trump's going to make it all go away. It doesn't matter who gets into office at this point. There's going to be some real hardship that a lot of Americans are going to have, regardless who gets into office. I mean, the money's already been spent. The inflation's already there. There's nothing that's going to change that. We're going to have some, in my opinion, we're going to have some tax increases. That's going to have to go towards paying down the deficit, and we're going to have to cut some services. That's the only way we're going to get this resolved. Everybody's going to have to swallow the pill, regardless.
Do you agree that many people are complaining in America about the economy? And a lot of people feel it's because the Biden administration spent so much money on immigrants, but that's another story too, because a lot of American people think that immigration is free. Immigration is actually big business for the American government, because immigrants don't get a bunch of free things like a lot of people believe. Do you think that the economy will change, or with her in power, in charge,
I
for
don't think
people?
so. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, again, I don't think either person that comes into office is not. Nothing is, unless they make some tough decisions, which they won't. It's too late. There's gonna be some hardships regardless. We can't. I mean, we can delay it and soften the blow and do little different things, but the reality of it is you can't spend more money than you have coming in. You create the bubble. And that's where it all happens at. When we were doing COVID, I mean, I had my own viewpoints of COVID. I personally didn't think that we should all be locked in the homes. And I was seeing different examples of, I know people work in healthcare, and obviously they had to go to work. And I'll give you an example. At this hospital that a friend of mine worked at, you had two men that were elderly. They're both in their 80s that were in a room together. Okay, limited ventilation, right? One had COVID. They were in this room for 3 weeks together. One had COVID, the other never got it. So, and the thing is, the way there was being kind of pushed that, that everybody was going to get it if you're around somebody else. Well, here you got two men in their 80s in the same room for 3 weeks. And one had it, and the other one never got it. So, you know, what's happened is we gave all this money away for people to sit at home. We told we told people that were property owners that people that were renting didn't have to pay their rent, but yet the people that own the properties, they own mortgages or taxes, they had to pay their taxes. See, all these things started coming into play, and California is the worst. Yeah, I mean, there's people that lost their homes because of this moratorium, because they were still responsible for making their mortgage payments. There was no moratorium on them, but if you were renting, there was. Yeah, so you got a whole bunch of things coming into play, and both parties are responsible for this.
Hmm. Let's go into the audience. Hold on a second. My company actually worked during the pandemic. I would never vote for a pro abortion candidate. Voting for Kamala because I'm anti Trump. I'm not even pro Kamala. Brent says, as far as abortion goes, if it's just a case of the women wants the abortion because she's not ready to be a mother, then men should be allowed to walk away and not be forced to pay child. How would you view Brent comment?
Let me read it because I seen it on the thing here. Let me
Hmm.
get back down here and it's the case of a woman wants an abortion because she's not ready to be a mother. It meant to be that. I mean, different people get abortions for different reasons, and that could be one of them. So, but the bottom line is, if a woman's pregnant, she takes the child to term, the men have to be responsible. I mean, that's part of our prison system here. That's all contributing to prison because you get absent fathers mentally, physically, and financially, and these kids grow up in a single parent household. I mean, and that's not just in the United States. Go to any of these countries, and you'll find out the majority of inmates that are in there, that being 51%, come from single parent households. They have no structure. So yeah, we end up paying for this. This is another thing. We're not. We're paying for this one way or the other. So you can pick your poison how you want to phrase it, but we need to make some fundamental changes. I mean, as far as the unwanted pregnancies, I guess one answer would be to make sure that birth control is more more available to women and different contraceptives. If they didn't want the child, then they should be taking popping the pill or whatever it is so this doesn't happen to start with. A lot of it's prevention because at the end of the day, people are not going to stop having sex. Forget that. That's not going to happen. so, so we have to look at other ways, to minimize. It's all about minimizing. Everything we're talking about, we're never going to solve it completely. You just try to chip away and you minimize it.
People should, be more mindful, be more careful. Um, Mercedes says abortion affects a woman much more, especially if the pregnancy is the result of violent rape or if the pregnancy is affecting the mother's health. I, I you know, I would ask Mercedes, if I am pregnant and I'm having some complications, does that give me the right to an abortion? And I know that this is a very sensitive subject, and many will view it a certain way. I would say I myself, I am pro life because as much as we are fighting for people that have bad things happen to them, you do have a group of people that take advantage of this situation that make bad decisions back to back carelessly because they have the ability to legally kill. And I am not talking about someone who is having the complications you're saying, or someone who's a victim of rape. What system is set up to be able to differentiate why people are having so many abortions?
I think they're down. I mean, I was reading some statistics about a year ago. I mean, I have to look it up. I mean, somebody else in the peanut gallery can look this up. But my understanding is when I read that abortions over the years have been going down, not up. So there's obviously there's preventive measures, but the thing is, it's a politically charged thing. And what happened was when Trump was in there, he obviously made the Supreme Court lined them up to where they said that they're going to send it back to the states, and now you got states that are all divided, and some states you can get it, some states you can't. Like Texas is a very strict state, from my understanding, what I've been reading. Um, you got or Alabama, the southern states, which that doesn't surprise me, but you have very strict laws in place. Well, the problem is that people are if they're going to vote on one issue, and they see that as being important. I guess if I'm looking at it from political being politically, if I was running in politics, no matter if I was a Democrat or Republican, I would look at it and say you're gonna piss off a group of women that they see that as being very important, and you might have women that are staunch Republicans that are going to say no, this pushes it over the edge because because the Republican Party is less government in their lives. I mean, that's the whole platform. And now they're interfering in their lives, and you got a lot of suburban women that are conservative physically and socially, but that kind of pushed them over the edge. And you have a lot of them that now are going to vote for Democrat because they're voting on one issue. So and you probably got some people that are going to vote for Trump over that issue that are might be a pro life, and they see that as being the most important thing. So you know he made a decision, and he stacked the courts, and this is what happened, and now it's creating more division.
Hmm. Let me give a shout out. Danny Saint, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you to each and everyone for your support of this channel. Thank you guys so much. Sporting Goods says there are other candidates to vote for. Queens Y718. Mwen pense ke tout Haitien ta dwe kite Republik Dominiken. Ou pa kite, ou pa ale nan yon peyi ki ra yo, ki pa reme Haitien. Fok nou gen dignite nou, abandone tout bagay Dominiken. This Queens NY718 says that he or she doesn't think that Haitians should stay in the Dominican Republic, that you cannot go to a country that hates you. We need to have dignity and abandon DR. Since they made this statement in Creole, I'm going to answer them in Creole. Pour un, même aswea, pour tout Haïtien, yo m salye nou, pot kote nou, entre nan, nou wè ke, même avec élection aux États-Unis, yo poko gen rien bon pou yo di ap fè pou Haïti. Yo poko ap defan rien de Haïtien. Yo ap regle kay peyi yo. Yo tous les deux nan combat pou ki eska fè yon pi bon travay pou peyi yo. Men pa bliye, Saint-Domingue se peyi dominiken yo. Oui, nou wè nan histwa, a un moment, li te fè pati Haiti, men jodi a e pa salye. Si ke Dominiken yo ap bon yon problem, mwen wè ke li lè li tan, pou Haitien ki Saint-Domingue, komanse chache wout yo la kay yo. Se menm bagay ouwe avek os Etats-Unis. E se sa ke nou a pale de li aswe. Eske eleksyon sa ap afekte imigran? Pou ki sa? Tout moun ap komba pou fe peyi yo pi bon. Se menm bagay os Etats-Unis ap fe. Yo gen nou ap pa fel a nouvo ke Dominik fel ou pa we ap voye Haitien de yo, ou pa we ap ba Haitien kou, yo pa fa Haitien de seri de bagay. Men, gen an pil moun ki kampe kote yo di yo fatige avec immigrant, yo pa vle immigrant nan peyi yo, yo santi ke trop kob yo prale nan immigrant, Haitien n'importe kote nou ye. Li lè li tan pou nou konsidere pou nou peyi pa nou, pou nou peyi pa nou empe fos nou. Li lè li tan. Se kon sa mwen men mwen wel, se opinyon. Saint-Domingue, chaque jour, mwen jwen nou, mwen tande sa ki ap Saint-Domingue. Men, le tan kompren ke se peyi yo. E se normal, ki de pou jere la. In Creole as well, because you know we're here talking immigration, and what I want a lot of Haitians to understand is Trump or Kamala. I hear some noise on your end. A different way, because I hear some noise, like I don't know, like it's a running car or something.
Oh, yeah. I'll turn it on. Yeah, okay. This will buy me a little bit of time, but okay.
Okay. Thank you. One of the things that I want Haitian people or probably immigrants to understand is that either both parties are speaking about their fighting and in competition about who can be a better representative for United States. Not who is coming to make Haiti better, not who's coming to do this and that for Haiti. Everyone is fighting to make their country better. And that's one of the things we should focus on. Because why are we having this type of lives is to bring awareness to what's happening, which many of us are already in the know of what's happening. But with everything that's happening, is to show Haitian people we're not fighting to make Haiti better. Si que vous pensez que bataille qui là, c'est pour faire Haïti plus bon, nous nous fait carry dans plus de problèmes. If we think that the fight is to make Haiti better, we're just getting started to have all of the issues that we've been having in Haiti and more, because the fight is to make their country better, and we need to do what we need to do to make our country. How would men feel knowing that they have a child and supporting the child? I don't know if you want to speak on that, because I know that you're one that you do not have kids, correct?
No children.
No children. Why did you make the decision to not have any children? Oh, is that a question?
Get a little personal. Okay. Now this is the way I look at it. This is the way I look at it. You know, when I make decisions, my personal decisions, I look at it through an economic lens.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it is here in this country, the United States, we've had a devaluation of the dollar in the last 50, 60 years. Okay. It accelerated after 1971 when he went off the gold standard. That's when things started to go bad. People don't see it, but it has. You can go back and look at the value of what a dollar buys. Think about this for a minute. Once upon a time, let's just say let's just go back 1960. A man, usually the man was the one that worked, and the woman stayed at home to take care of the kids. One income would buy a house, would take care of the wife and the kids. Everything that it takes two incomes for, you could do it with one. You could buy the same house. The amount of money that took your house payment as a percentage of your income was a lot lower. Okay, so with that said, um, I look at it and say, okay, if I have children, can I support them? Can I raise children in a nice area, going to good schools, and be an effective father without working a million hours? And even though I had a decent job, I worked for the government. I said no. And here's the other thing. I'm going to throw this in here as a bonus. um, if you have children, okay, let's just say you have the income, right? I'm going to look at it from a social standpoint now. You have children, nice affluent area, had money, you know, kids went to private schools, everything, everything. Kids were good, weren't any problems, so forth and so on. Now the children become adults, okay, and let's just say you have a daughter. The daughter is out and she makes a bad decision and meets up with what we call the Pookie and Ray Ray of the world, right? They hooks up with some guy that tells her sweet nothings, and then she gets pregnated and has children by this man. The man is no longer around. Anything could happen. Could be incarcerated, could be dead, just could be an absent father. Well, if you're a good parent to start with, and you have resources, guess what? And you have some morality about yourself. You become the parent again to those grandkids. You're not your time is not over. You're going to be out there again, and you're going to be raising kids again. You know, uh, because of the decision that in this case your daughter made. So, in other words, I look at it from my standpoint and say, why take the chance? Why take the chance? It's just like getting married in this country. Why why would I sign on the dotted line to have half of what I'm going to have that I've worked for being taken away? And this is what Trump makes every guys believe, that if you put me in office, I'm the rough and tough guy. I'm going to beat on my chest and all that. I'm going to make these things change, like I just mentioned. He's not going to change anything. He's just feeding guys sweet nothings to vote to get votes. And the reality of the thing, the courts aren't going to change, the laws aren't going to change with that. So with that said, why would I put myself through that? If I have a choice, just like we all have choices in our lives, why would you make a choice to do any of that? You know, I mean, that could be a survey question. I asked one guy that. He goes, "I was in love." Okay, you value that, and you took the roll of the dice because you're in love. Well, if that most marriages only last 7 years on average. So what happens after that? The love is gone after. Obviously, it's gone after that 7 years. But the liabilities that person's going to have is going to be a lot longer than that. So why take the chance?
Someone mentioned that they didn't have kids due to the economy, sporting goods. Young Baller says respectfully, that's selfish thinking, bro. You need to have kids. Money comes and goes.
Well, I'll tell you what. When they start sending me money to finance that personal principles, I'll do what they say. Send a check to the Italian Stein, the gangster bankster. Break me off. Give me about 100,000 to start with, and I'll do what you want.
Purple Pill says the good thing about men is that you can start a family at any age, but gotta consider the cause. You ever? Well, that I don't want to be too personal. So before we go, we've been on a while now. Do you have like any last words? Anything do you want to share? Who do you think is going to take that position? What immigrant? Any advice to immigrants in the states, whether legal or illegal, before parting ways?
Well, the ones that, well, I don't know anybody that's illegal. Personally, I know a lot of them have green cards and work permits. I would say the ones that come from non-English speaking countries, they better work on their English like yesterday. Because if you don't know English, you're not gonna. You're not. It doesn't matter. You could be the smartest person in the world in your own language, but if you don't know English, and that's how we do business here, you're never going to excel. So that would be English is just as valuable as having a PhD here. If not, you're going to end up pushing a broom or doing some menial job because you don't know how to read and write English or speak it for that matter. So that would be vice number one to those individuals. The ones that are English speaking, I think what people have to do that are in the diaspora, I don't think it's well communicated when, and I'll just say from the Guyanians because that's what I know best. I don't think there's enough people here in the diaspora Guyanians that are telling others back in Ghana, about what is expected of you when you come to the United States. An example would be your workplace. Over there you can get away with showing up to work late, 15, 20 minutes, half hour. It's not that big of a deal in a lot of these third world countries. We know in the United States that doesn't operate that way. Time is money, and they're not letting them know that you need to respect time. And that's, in my opinion, that's why a lot of these poor developing countries aren't moving forward. That's one of the reasons, because they simply just don't respect time. They don't take it serious. So, that would be my other advice, for anybody coming here. You better hit the ground running.
Wow. You think that immigrants have a problem with time once they arrive in the United States?
um yes and no. I mean, I think they catch on fairly quick. But the problem is some of the habits, and I've seen this, and I won't mention where I've seen it at, but I've seen a lot of businesses here in my city that are we got a lot of Africans from French speaking countries, okay, here. And what happens is a lot of them are, and I'm just seeing this recently, last couple months, they're opening up like repair shops and everything, right? Well, the
Mhm.
the the problem is, when you open up some of these businesses, they want to do things the way they're bringing some of the bad habits from their country here. And the problem is
Mhm.
that some of those habits aren't acceptable here. And I'm not going to pick on them. It's anybody. In other words, we have a set of rules and regulations and conduct in a business environment. And just as if I were, well, I'd say I'm going to be doing something in Ghana, I have to play by whatever rules they have set forth, which aren't much of anything. But regardless, if they have some rules set, me as a foreigner coming in there to operate a business, I have to, I have to abide by their rules and regulations and customs and everything. So, but the thing is, I know already what I'm going into, and I respect that. But sometimes when individuals come here, they don't, and that's maybe some of the, and it goes back to time too. I mean, if you're running a business and everything, you're going to be less respecting of time as opposed to working for an employer here, because an employer here is not going to tolerate it. But if you're running your own business, if you say you advertise you're going to open up at 9 o'clock, you Google the business, you're going to be open at 9, and they decide they're not going to be there till 10:30, and you're a customer that wants to go there, prior at the time it says on Google at 9 o'clock, 9:30, and they're not there. What's that tell you? I mean, that tells you they're not serious, or they think they're bringing their home country bad habits here. In their country, it's okay. It's acceptable. Nobody cries too much. But here in the United States, time is money to us. We have other things we need to do. So, I mean, that's what it comes down to. So,
Wow. That's very true. You shared some things that I have experienced with working with others in Haiti. Sporting goods mentioned, as well as keeping good records. And that's something that is difficult for a lot of our people. And I want to accredit that to education, because people, they just don't have it together to be able to keep good record. And that is why you don't see too many corporations. I've always said, why is everybody selling the same thing on the side of the road? Why not me create a corporation and one person can sell everything? You know what you have there, you know what you have invested there. Turn around and have someone else go do something else with your time and have someone in charge. But keeping good record seems to be something that not everybody, but for the majority of our people, they do have a problem with.
Right, because everything runs on cash, and Ghana's the same way. Everything runs on most places. These little container stores, they run on cash. The only people that really pay taxes there are like the national grocery stores or hotels. Maybe some guest houses, independent. They all have to pay taxes and everything, but the vast majority of places there are little, shipping containers that they turn into stores, and everything runs on cash or mobile money. Yeah, so the thing is, the problem is, and I'll just use Ghana. This is an example, and this is what I'm doing over there. It's a little bit different. Talk to my connection over there. In this part of the country that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be setting up a fish farm. Right, we're going to do wholesale of fish to guest houses, which are basically hotels and restaurants in it. And then they have a thing called, they call it cold stores. Basically, a cold store is basically a store that just sells frozen items, because there's no stores that sell frozen items like you do in the United States when you go into a grocery store there. So, but a lot of people are selling. They call it smoking. They're basically grilling fish on the side of the road in the evening, and they sell, to people. They put spices on it and all that. But I told my connection, I said, what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple little locations, maybe of some family members and stuff, where we're going to have them smoke fish in the evening from the fish farm. But we're going to do things a little bit differently. Number one, we're going to have a grease board clearly laying out the prices of the fish. The small fish is this size, this price, and so forth, right? And then what we're
Mhm.
also going to do, we're going to try to mix it up to make the fish taste a little bit different. Use some different spices and stuff, because everybody uses the same spice on their fish, right? When they smoke it. And then the other thing I told her, I said, we're going to add something to this. We're going to call it fish and chips. We're gonna get potatoes or yams. They have fried yams over there, which they like to eat. And we're gonna sell those. We're gonna have an area right there where we're gonna sell the fish and the yams. So they'll actually have a meal, as opposed to just buying the fish itself. And maybe a couple little plastic tables. I mean, at least the one I want to do. So, in other words, what I'm trying to do is, and I try to convey to her is, we're differentiating what we're doing. We're selling fish, but we're doing a few things different that nobody else is doing, and that's what's going to make the product more marketable, and people are going to come patronize that spot as opposed to other people.
Hmm. Well, that's what we need here, especially in less developed countries, which I know that Ghana is pretty developed, but it's still not as developed. I know you spoke to me about it offline, and I congratulate you. And being different in anything that you do, I think that will give you a leverage to be successful, especially in a country like Haiti and Ghana, you know?
No, it's just they don't. The thing is, their education system. The problem is, in these third world countries, they don't teach creative. They don't teach constructive criticism, because everything's always, you respect your elder, whoever that is, and even though they don't know what they're talking about, and
Mhm.
it's taught behavior that's shoved down to the younger generation. And the problem is, they're conditioned. They're conditioned to think a certain way, and it takes somebody from the outside, like myself, to come in and say, "Hey, we can do things a little bit differently. Let's look around at the resources we have, and let's make that fish stand better. That roadside fish, let's make it better." let's sell yams, whether fried yams or French fries. We can maybe get some cheese. Put some mozzarella cheese on it. Have cheese yams. Something that nobody else is doing there. Let's put some butter on the fish. Let's put a different type of spice other than the spices they use there when they grill it. There's little things you can do. Let's be transparent. The people come in there, instead of going back and forth on price and this and that, have a grease board there. This is the
I
price of the
always
big fish.
say that about businesses in Haiti. Have a board, not to interrupt you, that everyone, once they come in here, they know the price.
Because the thing is that takes time up for the person that's making the fish. Because they're
Hmm.
going back and forth with the customer. If you just put it up on a grease board, and they know they either want to buy it at that price or you don't. I mean, there isn't any conversation other than if I want a big one, a small one, or whatever it may be. And that's the thing. You got to be, I think somebody said in the comment, you have to be transparent. And see, that's the problem, at least in Ghana. And I know very well because I've been there 3 times now, at extended periods of time. I didn't go there for a weekend or a week. I was there for a while each time I went. So uh, and that's one of the things I noticed. But they're conditioned. They copy. All they do is they copy off of other people and say, "Well, I'm going to do a fish stand and on this part of town, and I'm going to make money." Well, you may or may not. But if you do something a little bit different, like selling fried yams or French fries along with the fish that they could have, and have it like a little packaged meal, maybe have some bottled water there for them to drink, and a couple of plastic tables that they could sit at, because most of them don't have a place to sit. Maybe you will attract more customers because they'll know in their mind, hey, I could go here and I could get the smoked fish, and it tastes a little bit different because they put some other type of spices on it other than what I'm normally getting. Oh, by the way, I like yams. I like fried yams. I can get fried yams right there with the fish. I can do it all in one spot. So that's how you got to look at it. And see, the thing is, they're not thinking outside the box. That's the problem. There's another business I want to do that's not being done up there, but I won't even get into that on here on the live. But the fish farm, the fish farm, we can make. I know I can make money selling to the guest houses. I know I can sell to the cold stores, and I know at least 2, 3 different people that want to within the family or connection to the family that want to set up, and sell fish in the evening, because that's when usually when the sun goes down, that's when the flames go up. They start the grills and they sell that. So that's the way I look at it.
Well, to go back, the ideas you shared, I agree with that 100% is speaking English. A lot of foreigners, including, even my parents, they are pretty relaxed about learning to speak English. That is why even here in Haiti, I believe if you already can speak English, you have an advantage over even some that's been in America, because there are immigrants that's who has been in America a while and still do not speak English. And it's always good to be informed, know how things are done in the community that you are integrating into, what is expected of you. These are things that, yes, a lot of foreigners should adhere to when moving into a different community, in a different country. So, yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Stallion. It's always good to have you join with me. I'm not gonna keep you too long because I've already kept you a minute. Unless you want to stay here with me.
Well, I'm sitting outside. Like I said, we're done with our topic and everything. But people's got to think outside the box, even in Haiti. And if I had to go to Haiti, one, I would. Now, this is my opinion now. I wouldn't be
Hmm.
in Port-au-Prince. I would be in Cap Haitian, and I would probably implement the same things that I would want to do in Ghana. I'd probably get a piece of property somewhere, and I would probably have things set up the same way there, because Haiti and Ghana are similar in a lot of respects. At least, at least the landscape of it is. Um, it's a different culture in Haiti than it is in Ghana. And you got tribes in Ghana. You got other things going on there. But one thing I do know that Haiti and Ghana are both similar in, to get a business done, you have to pay somebody off. Whether it's getting your land processed, your deed, and see, that's all part of the problem. That's all part of the landscape. You have to know when you come into these countries, we don't pay off people here in the U.S. government agencies and stuff to get
To
stuff
be
done.
successful, right?
Right? If you
Well,
want, if you
let me ask you a bigger question. You find a lot of Black nations are like this. In order to be successful, you have your own kind standing in front of you to blind. That's similar to Haiti. I remember trying to legalize life in Haiti right here in Haiti. That way it belongs to me. It's my hard work. And I didn't want someone in Haiti with bigger hands to go and take life in Haiti. And after I've done all the work for life in Haiti, and here they go taking it. They made that process very, very difficult. So it's similar too. Haiti is the same way. And you hear the complaint. I have a friend that's in Nicaragua, recently returned, facing the same thing. You saying the same thing about Ghana. Why why do you think that?
well, I think, it's because of lack of education and lack of respect for time again. If you if you pick out a third world country, okay, that's not developed, you can call it third world, developed, whatever. You pick out that country, I will show you that the people in the government do not respect time. They just simply don't. I'll give you another example here. What happened in Ghana? I know this is what I have to go through on this land. The way it works in Ghana, you don't buy the land outright in most cases. You're doing like a 50 or 99-year lease. Okay, it's the way it works there. And and believe it or not, even today, the chiefs in that country do have some political power with dealing with land. Because if you lease land in Ghana, chances are you're wherever that land's located, there's a governing chief of that area that has to sign off on the paperwork, legal documents of the chief of that area, which I just found out recently they call that person the overlord. Okay. So even though that you have the lease of the land as an individual and you're selling that lease to somebody else, the chief has to be involved in that area. Whoever the appointed chief is of that tribe in that area is the quote overlord and to sign off. So you're basically when you're doing your payoffs to get things done, you're paying off people at the land commission to get the paperwork processed timely, right? You're paying off the overlord because you got to give them something for their part in it to get it processed. Everybody that we get the legality of getting that land, you have to really basically pay somebody off the whole way. If you'll get it done eventually, but do you want the land in a 6 months or you want it a year? And that's what it comes down to. And the problem is, I'll give you an example what I ran into when I got the land. Okay, they call it the land commission in Ghana, right? The person that needed to sign off on the document after the architect writes it up and everything, the blueprint and the whole nine, there's only one person in that office that can sign off on it. If this
Mm.
person now, and I'm going to get a little into religion here for a minute just to make my point. Let's just say that person isn't. This isn't the case, but let's say that person is an active Muslim, okay, a practicing Muslim. That person may want to go to Mecca. Maybe at some point they're going to cat's acting crazy, but
Really crazy.
but let's just say that person wants to go to Mecca, right? They're a practicing Muslim. That person's the one that signs off on that document. The way it works in Ghana, there's nobody that's going to fill in for that person while they're in Mecca. So that person might be in Mecca for 3 months, walking around, the area where the Muslims, they go through the whole nine with Muhammad and so forth. So in the meantime, business is still going on in Ghana. People are still buying land. There's still transactions going on. They don't respect time in the respect that they don't send somebody up from another office or assign somebody to sign off on those documents. You got to literally wait for that person to get back from Mecca to come and sign the damn document. Now, in the United States and developed countries, that doesn't happen. If there's only one person in the office, they would give the authority or transfer somebody up there while that person's gone. But it doesn't work like that in Ghana, and that's what I ran into recently. Now, it wasn't because the person went to Mecca; they were traveling for a conference or something for an extended period of time, and the paperwork just sat. The paperwork sat an extra month longer than it should have, all because the one person that needed to sign off on it was not there. So that's an example, and that's everything. It's all third world countries operate that way, unfortunately.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with consistency, because the same thing here. It's like if someone step in to help you, they're afraid that that person that's stepping in may do a better job and may get your job. It's the same thing you hear about judges. You speak with somebody about the criminal justice system. You hear like judges take 5 to 6 months off work here without an appointed judge coming in to assist with the problem or with seeing cases. Why? I think it has a lot to do with people feeling like if someone steps in, then they could lose their job to that person because that person may do a better job. Guys,
Yeah.
you see how Mimi acts?
Well, yeah, that goes back down to civil service rules and everything, how everybody operates. Out in Ghana, where you can pretty much almost kill somebody and keep your job. I personally know a person that's there that's a school teacher in their school system. This
Hmm.
individual has come to work literally drunk to teach in the class. This person has been in jail because of outside the schools.
So this is another show, but yes, you may continue. And guys, please share the live. Where are my peoples at? Please share the live, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Don't forget to like. You may continue.
Okay, this person's got all kinds of violations and run-ins with the law. But guess what? That person's still teaching there. That person has not been removed, demoted, nothing. They just, they just put up with it. So that's part of the other problem. In these countries, the people they do have it, they're not even holding accountable. Yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen it at the hospital. I've seen it at the land commission. I've seen it with their school system there. And like I told my connection there, I said this is a reason why the country's not going to go forward because of all the BS and everything you have to do to operate, to try to open up a business and bring jobs there. But furthermore, there's no accountability for any of these officials for what they do, and we see the same thing in Haiti. There's no accountability. So when there's no accountability, that's where people get frustrated. And it happened to be in Haiti. It just spilled over to now you got all these gangs and everything, and all have different fractions. It hasn't happened that way in Ghana, but I could see where a country could be like Haiti if it got bad enough. If there's enough people were stealing, enough people weren't held accountable, people just say, "Hey, I have nothing to lose." They take up arms. So
Very true. There's a lot of nations that have a lot of work to do. I would say a lot of black nations. And I wreck my brain. A lot of times I sit and I study. I'm looking at real time news, watching other content creators in other areas, seeing the similarities, seeing the differences, and I wonder why is that. And a part of me always refer back to slavery time. Why is it that Black nations are the main nations that's still struggling? Yes, of course, we know that it has a lot to do with our leaders. But then again, there are good Black leaders. We're trained to believe that every Black leader has been a bad leader, which is not true. So, this is a whole nother subject. Um, we can go on and on about this all night. We're gonna, continue to go on all night about it. But I just thank you for joining me on the immigration issue. I feel that um, if Trump wins, it will have a lot to do with how people feel about immigration and the economy. I think, in my opinion, from watching and just like you guys, watching a lot of different content creators going into different areas in America, speaking to real live people, a lot of people have been concerned about the economy. Biden himself mentioned she could have made certain changes. So, but a lot of people are concerned about immigration, mass immigrants coming into the United States, and a lot of people don't like that. But I'm here to tell a lot of people too that that's also a game, because I think the media try to portray immigrants as like terrible people or bad people, but immigrants have helped a whole lot in America and continue to do so today.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Anybody in the peanut gallery can look this up. There is a man. I think his name is Alan Litchman, Litton.
Hmm.
He has predicted the outcome of elections. Uh, he's been 100%. I think one election he wasn't since the 1980. And he
Hmm.
has this formula he uses. He doesn't use polling or anything. He has a thing called 13 keys, Keys, right? And anybody can pull it up and Google it. And he went through there and he made his determination, and by August, and he made his prediction of who's going to win. And according to his keys, there's certain things. If you have more than 6 keys in your favor, then you're going to win the election. And he did it with Trump and Kamala Harris. And guess what? The Democrats are going to win, according to what he said. Regardless of all the noise and all the stuff going on and the rhetoric, and the polls and the people how they feel and all that. He's been right. He's been right He's been right for 40 years, except for once, over 40 years. And he uses this formula. So anybody can Google it and then see on there. But he made his prediction in August, and he said that Kamala Harris she's going to win the election.
I think we have a few more hours. God willing, we're still here. We will know who is the new president in the United States.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me either way. I got my pension, I got my money, I got my resources spread out. I made, people. If you're, at the end of the day, if you make right decisions in your personal life, the who's out of office has less and less impact on you. At the
Amen.
end of when you really look at all these rich people like out there. Doesn't matter how they vote, they're you don't see any of these rich people losing their wealth or their life changes regardless who's in office. They may cry, they may even pay more taxes, or they may get a tax break and everything, but at the end their lives haven't really changed as a result. So once you get to a certain level and you make good decisions to put yourself in a better space, it doesn't matter who's in office because it has a less of an impact on your life. They're talking about the affordable insurance plan. Trump said he wants to get rid of it or modified or whatever else, and the other party doesn't. Well, if you're making enough money, you can afford health insurance regardless if it's 10,000 a month. If you're a multimillionaire, it doesn't matter. So, regardless who gets in office, you got the money to pay for health insurance. It's not a factor to you. I mean, that's just an example I'm thinking of off the top of my head. But the vast majority of people, they don't have it like that. So, yeah, it's going to be an issue to them. So that's why you got to look at it.
The way I look at it, in my opinion, with this immigrant situation, is for Haitian people to not be too invested. Because regardless of who wins, it will be to make America better. That is what the fight is. So if you are an immigrant, both parties, we have the humanitarian program. It came to a halt. A lot of people here have been approved and have yet to travel. They've yet to be issued out their traveling pass. So for me, immigration on either party, they're going to try to pull in people when it's time for them to get the vote. So I don't think that we should be so invested. I think that we should invest more into what we should do to make Haiti better. And in case if you did have to come back, then you probably should focus on getting your education there, learning a skill, so that when you come back, you'll be able to pay back into the country.
Right. Well, they got stability. If there was stability in Haiti, I'm sure there's going to be people from the diaspora that would come back, and operate business and everything. I mean, I know Guyanians, that went back, go back to Ghana, and they got their education, and everything else, and they're doing very well. They brought a little bit of resources they made here in the United States, and they know how the politics work. They know how payoffs work, like I mentioned earlier, and they have the
Hmm.
business mindset because they understood business from here. So now they're going back. They're going back to their country now, and a lot of them are very successful. So it can happen the same in Haiti, but I mean, but I would just look at it from a human standpoint and say, if I was a Haitian in the diaspora, and even if I got money and I really want to do something, why would I want to go and then try to open up a business there, and I might be at risk for different things? One, if you have money, you're going to be a target. Number two, where are you going to locate the business at? If you're down there in Port-au-Prince, you're just putting yourself out there. So, from a security safety standpoint, well, I don't blame them from that end of it. I mean, if you want to go up north to another part of the country, I'm more of an advocate for Cap Haitian. I got people that I know there. I got a good friend of mine, you know him. He's from Cap Haitian. If I had to do business in Haiti, it would probably be there. It would probably be there. It's the ocean's there. You got some nice beaches up there in the north. The weather when hurricanes come through, on that whole island of diaspora, Dominican Republic, DR, most of the damage is always done in the south. How many hurricanes have wiped out Cap Haitian? How many bad storms really did some damage there? Or like Puerto Plata over on the Dominican side. So, I'm thinking, see, when I think from a bunch of different things that I think about. So if I were to do that, I would be in Cap Haitian all day long. If I had to open up a business there. But, again, if, with the security situation and everything else, and if that doesn't get you, it's going to be the people dragging their butts to get paperwork processed. So they're going to already have to know they're going to have to pay somebody off in Cap Haitian to get things moving. And they're going to have to get adjusted, to them, what might take a day here might take a month there. Yeah, because people just drag their feet.
Well, I think that Cap Haitian needs some modernized businesses. Uh, you're right. We need security to secure people, but I do see things getting better in the future. And if you're thinking about investing in Haiti down the line, now I think is the best time to purchase property. You can at least get it at an affordable rate. When things does get back to its normalcy, your property will have a lot more value.
All right. All right. But
I, nothing remains the same, you know?
uh, again, yeah, that's what I would do. But my focus right now, like I said, everything's in Ghana. I have a lot of ties there and everything. Now, if I had a Haitian wife, that might be different. I might be a cap Haitian, especially if she's
Yeah.
from there. But my emphasis is right now in Ghana. So any of my expertise, any of my connections or anything, it's all over there. And like I say, I see opportunity. I see opportunity all day long over there. It's just a matter of how you move and who you know, and that's half the battle right there. If you know people over there that know other people that get stuff done like I'm doing, things
Mm,
move a lot quicker. And of course, you always have to have a gift. You don't have no gift, your mouthpiece is only going to go so far. You better have something in your hand to give them. That's just the way it
that's
works.
Thank you so much, Dayum. I always enjoy having you on the show, and we'll definitely do this again really soon.
All right,
Have
make sure,
a good.
make sure you feel the promise to me. I gotta see Nuke. I gotta see our head of security. I'm losing faith in you.
I will. I don't know. Sometime this week when I'm live, I'll let you see Nuke.
Okay. All right. All right. Hey, take care, and we'll talk later.
Definitely, we will. You have a good.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much. Let me give a shout out to Mr. Jackson. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. We spoke on the immigration situation for my Haitians that are tuned in. I know this whole m konen tout live la preske c'était en anglais lte. Mais mwen vle pou nou kompren ke n'importe sa liye a, tout se pou peyi yo ap travay. Oui, si ou deja aux États-Unis, li kapab afekte ou. Si ou se ou moun nan Biden, mwen ka wè un jan ke li kapab afekte ou. Men, an nou pa bliye Haitien. Lè nou se Haitien, ke n'importe koto ye, même là aux États-Unis, même lè ou Saint-Domingue, gen bagay pou nan apprendre. Nou kapab apprendre tout bagay, tout kote nan le. Mais pour que ça nous pas qu'à apprendre et nous pas qu'à ouais que c'est tout le monde qui a bataille pour pays au plus bon, pour faire pays pa yo plus bon. Pendant nous-mêmes, nous chita dans bataille avec monde pour demander pour qui raison pour nous pas arrêter chita la caille. Pour qui raison nous pas qu'à venir devant porte. Non, li temps pour nous-mêmes nous faire la caille par nous une priorité. Parce que c'est ça que tout le monde a géré malgré ce Kamala, si ou pour Trump, et là, regardez tout, même parti démocrate là, yo gen limite yo gen côté que yo a privé, parce que yo pas vle aller trop loin pour yo pas perdre vote et pe moun nan pays. Sel sa m ka di nou menm ki lot bo, kom mesye a te di en anglais, si ou pa kompren, apren anglais. Ale l'école. M konen li difficile parce que penan nou kite fami Haiti. Nou kite madame, petite, et tout moun a depende sou nou. Men mwen te fe un live kote m te pataje ke si ou fe kontre aux États-Unis, m'pa kwe ke fami an gen doa pou mette trop responsabilité sou kote yo pense ke ou même simplement pral pote toute fami an tout suite c'est ou même simplement qui pour voyer comme qui pour faire ceci c'est l'autre bord parce que ou pas capable ou fait qu'entrer côté c'est pour bailler mais un gain de bagaille c'est pour investir dans tête tout. Tant qu'on apprendre un métier, apprendre un bagage, apprendre qui gens pour faire, apprendre qui gens pour faire le propre, apprendre qui gens pour gérer papier, de le bagage que ouais nous pas gagner dans pays, ouais moun pas faire dans pays. Ça c'est bagage pour ou t'as supposé apprendre pour que n'importe ça qui passe, que n'importe moun qui gagne que ou même s'il arrivait pour retourner là dans le pays d'Haïti, ou ka toujours établir la vie pour tête. Ou ka toujours établir la vie pour tête. So, moi remercie nous toutes. Merci oui frère, merci oui frère. Moi remercie nous toutes pour support nous, moi remercie nous toutes pour love nous et on nous continue à supporter Chanel là tout. Parce que nous-mêmes, ce qui ça n'a fait, n'a montré anglais à depuis ici. Parce que gen moun qui arrive là, demain si Dieu veut, yo jouer une chance pour aller aux États-Unis, ou après que yo aller plus vite que au moun qui gen là 3, 4, 5 ans qui pas parler anglais. Si nous bay ti moun yo une chance, moi ouais li ta supposé un bagay qui mandatory pour un pile ti moun yo en Haïti apprendre anglais. Moi t'a dit un moun qui différence moi-même avec un peu moun en Haïti. C'est anglais non. C'est simplement et moi-même tout moi choisi pour moi utiliser li un côté qui bon, moi choisi pour m'utiliser pour me faire un bon bagay avec. So on bay ti moun yo une chance pour yo apprendre anglais. So just to translate it in English, guys, I was speaking to someone and I shared the importance of speaking English. Coming into Haiti, I was always asking myself, like, what would I do? I am someone who write a lot and I would write down my good traits. And one of the things I knew that I had in my advantage against my people in Haiti, living in Haiti, is my English. And, I pretty much leaned on that. So, guys, for us to continue that, to make sure that the kids here at the center learn to, qui j'en nous dit pour yo dégager yo en anglais, please, guys, support the center. Because here, Saturday, where you hear a few people are saying in reference to immigrants, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to prepare people to leave, but I do think that it is an opportunity, it is a blessing for people to travel, especially people in Haiti, to see how things are done elsewhere. People need to see how things are done in other places and how people are living. So I just want to thank you guys so much. I love you all. Thank you so much for all your support. As always, be kind to one another. Give somebody a compliment. Tell somebody you love them. Monday is like I love Mondays. I actually do. Even though it's like hard to get out of the bed, we had a 3-day weekend because Friday there was no school. Everything's been shut down. So I'm ready for tomorrow and what tomorrow has to offer. Pray for me that I get good news with this laptop, guys, that's giving me problems. And hopefully I get it fixed and look out for some upcoming uploads. Thank you so much. I think I saw JBT says he's something via Cash App. Thank you so much for your donation. Thank you to each and everyone. Lionel, thank you guys so much. Mercedes, each and every one of you guys in attendance tonight. Thank you all so much. Love you all. Until next time.